Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Brian.
And I'm Kyler.
And this is OAP-TV, and this is the very first episode. Many more to come. I'm a coach. I've been playing for a little while, for like maybe 4 years. Some of you have seen me before, and this is Coach Kyler. What's up with you, buddy?
Not much. I'm playing not quite as long as you, about 3 years for me. I do some coaching. I also run OAP leagues and tournaments. We do every Tuesday night, we have a league at Crush Yard, which you know because you are a part of.
Crush Yard. Love that place. Tournaments there are awesome. OAP does such an awesome job at running these tournaments. Everybody has fun. Everybody that I talk to, even if the ones that if I can't play in them, everybody's like, are you going to play in it? Super fun. It's run very, very well.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
We're wrapping up season 1 of the team league at Crush Yard. There's a couple weeks left, and then we have been greenlit for season 2. So if you're interested, get your 5 best pickleball playing friends together and get in touch with us to sign up for season 2, because that is going to be happening once we wrap up season 1 in the next couple of weeks.
And that's crazy fun because I wasn't originally playing in it, and somebody got hurt and asked me to sub. And that place is awesome. I mean, Crush Yard is crushing it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, you see familiar faces. You get to play with different players. And right now, what do we got? We have standings. Who's in first?
Yeah, we got so my team's been in the top block. The first seed is the Crush Yard Crushers.
Obviously.
Yeah. They have only taken 1 loss so far in the matches.
Damn.
My team has frustratingly...
Was it against your team?
No, it was against the Netflix and Kill team.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, they got some really good like singles players on their team. You see those guys all the time at like 5-0 singles.
Yeah, there's
divisions.
some really good players there.
Yep,
for sure.
Yeah, they took down Crush Yard 1 week. My team has frustratingly beat them in 2 matches in a best of 5 now 3 times. So
okay, you got some in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The third win is elusive. Yeah. So and then your team now is moving up to the 4th seed.
Yeah, we got 4th. We're creeping up. So Crush Yard, yeah, it's definitely an awesome place. The tournaments that they have there that you guys are organizing is awesome, top notch. They have how many courts? They have 10.
10. Yeah.
They have 10. And then ORS has 11.
Yeah, ORS has 11. I think they are the biggest indoor in Orlando right now. And we do a league there Thursday nights.
Yeah.
Sort of a ladder league. You come by yourself. You play with 5 or 6 other people. You win the court. You move up. You lose the court. You move down. And we also started recently running a money ball on the top 2 courts. So
nice.
Yeah, the top players all put in $10, and the winner takes the pot.
It's one player that takes it all.
Yep.
Nice. Who won the last one? You know?
Me.
Remember?
I do.
Oh,
I'm 50. I'm $50 richer.
Daggone.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
All right. What a coincidence. He does not rig his own tournaments. He doesn't rig his money balls.
Absolutely not.
He just comes in first place. He didn't even play. No, I was just kidding.
Yeah, I take care of the scoring. Don't look too closely at it, and just give me your money.
And the ORS has the most indoor.
Yeah,
they have the 11, right? And then I was saying that I had remembered when they only had 5, and they only had 5, and I don't know when that was. It was like a few years ago, and it was just like us and the Farleys. And I remember the owner and the owner's son. They would always say, "Oh, it's our favorite family, our favorite players," because we were like the only ones there first, like for a little bit. And then we were saying that you could always tell how long you've been playing with the amount of courts that they have, because they have 11 now, but before they had 5. So it was like, when did you start playing? Oh, I started playing when ORS only had 7 courts.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm a 7er.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm one of the OGs, the 5 court ones.
The first time actually I ever went there, I'd only ever played in like my local community courts, and everyone was like, 3-0 or below at that time.
Really?
And and you were there with your family playing, and I was like, this is the best player I've ever seen.
This is the guy.
Like
That's
one
the guy.
one day I have to get good enough to make this guy try against me.
I always laugh because people are like, "Are you Sandra's brother? Are you the fire hair brother or whatever?" Because she has that red hair, and everybody knows her for her red hair.
Yeah,
and everybody's like, "Oh, she's such an awesome player."
Yeah, winning all the 5-0 tournaments.
Yeah, man, she's crushing it. I'll tell you what,
for sure.
And are you guys having anything? Because you're in season 1 for Crush Yard.
Yep.
For that tournament. Season 2, when is that?
Season 2 is going to start after season 1. I think we might take like a week or 2 break, but it'll be in about a month from now.
Okay, so it's like maybe a month apart after season 1.
Well, we have 2 weeks left in season 1. And then there'll probably be a week or 2 break, and then and during that time we're going to start getting teams, and we're going to go with season 2.
Okay.
And it's open to all levels too. Like people are playing with their friends. It's really great because everyone's playing, and we do sort of a ladder format. So you end up playing with teams sort of around your level, and it's sort of a really good time from for 5 5s to 2 5s. Yeah,
because in the league, what I've seen is it's just so many different players.
Yeah.
And then you have some really good guys, really good teams. Your team is stacked, except you. I don't know if you're black sheep on the mountain.
I specifically picked 4 people to carry me.
There you go. Yeah. You got to be like, hey, I'll buy you guys some back braces after this because I'm kind of heavy. Because you're gonna be carrying me every No, I'm just kidding. You play awesome, bro. What about upcoming for ORS? Do you guys have anything going on for that? For any tournaments in ORS?
We do have a big tournament planned there in the summer. By popular demand, we are going to be bringing back the trophies and the empanadas. Shout out to Empanada Mama.
Empanadas.
Man, yes, they are going to be back.
Delicious.
And we're going to be working with the food bank again. So we're going to be donating a huge portion of the proceeds are going to go to the food bank. We've worked with them before, and they're great. They helped us promote, and they're doing great work. So we're excited for that summer tournament. If any of you guys don't mind driving too, we also have our first tournament in Bonita Springs coming up on April 12th. Yeah, it's at Sports Challenge America. It's a really cool facility. They have all these different like activities and challenges you do from other sports. So like you can go there. They got like basketball shooting contests and like field goal kicking contests, and you can go like anytime and you win prizes there. Yeah, they got a bar and everything too, and it's right next to like one of the biggest casinos. In the area. That's really cool. Yeah, it could be a really cool weekend, and that's really good for for pickleball and everything that because just of where it started. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people are like, oh, it just happened. Pickleball just happened a few years ago, and it's been around for a while, since '65, but it's just exploding. But you don't see a lot of events and things like that. So I love that OAP is doing that. Yeah, and it's growing into being incorporated in these facilities that accommodate the big traditional sports like basketball and football. And now pickleball is sort of reaching that level where it's getting in. It's not just like a niche sport anymore. Yeah, it's definitely getting around. So next topic are the different paddles, different gen paddles. So I play with different paddles. I get demos and stuff like that, and people are always asking me about things. And one of the things that they ask me a lot is Gen 3s and Gen 4s. Yes. So a lot of people think that Gen 4 paddles are the new Yola paddles, and it's like no, it's the name, but Pro 4 is the name. Yeah. Gen 4 paddles are foam. Gen 3 paddles are thermoform, and they're built different. So something like Gen 4 is the Selkirk 008 that came out, and I hit with it. They have two shapes. I like the Invicta one. It was okay spin, but for me, it just lacked so much power that all the weight
that I would put on there would be, it wouldn't really do it justice.
Yeah.
But
and that's the one that's like what, 8mm core? That one's really thin, right?
Yeah. Well, that one's because I know that they were going to come out with it. I think they were going to come out with a 10mm. Okay. I think, because I know on the 007 they had a 10mm one and a 13, something like that. And I think they're coming out with, they're making them like super thin. It's crazy. But another Gen 4 that I got to play with was the Carbon.
Yes.
And that one I liked a lot. There was, I guess because it's the foam, it doesn't give it a lot of power. Yeah. So in my experience from, playing with the Selkirk, playing with the Carbon, but it definitely did have a little bit more power than the Selkirk, and putting, whatever kind of tape that you're going to use, I use lead tape on the top. It helped it. You played with it. Yeah. What did you think about it?
It definitely, to go back to the generation things that you were talking about, it definitely depends on what paddle you're coming from too. We have these paddles actually available for demo at our sort of leagues and tournaments. Yeah. And we have one guy who's a original Hyperion holdout. So he tried the True Foam this week, and he was like, this is an unbelievable amount of power. Really? Wow. Yeah. Okay. So it depends on what you're coming from. I'd say if you're coming from one of those Gen 2 or 3, or sorry, Gen 1 or 2 paddles. Yes. That the Carbon, is just a strict upgrade in power over those. What people are comparing it to a lot of the times is what you're getting with like a mod or a 3S. Right. And those paddles are actually, the mod is completely illegal now, and the 3S is only UPA approved because essentially because it hits too hard. Yeah. For and USA Pickleball approval.
That's a huge point, and it's very freaking smart to say that, because they're just doing power paddles. Yes. You have the gearbox. Oh my gosh. Yes. The gearbox puts holes through people. Yeah. Just kidding. But you do have the gearbox. You do have Yola. You do have all these paddles. I was playing singles a lot with the PaddleTech. Yep. And coming from PaddleTech and then going to something like, a foam is definitely going to affect that for sure. And you don't have to hit anything almost with that PaddleTech. It just comes off crazy. And the gearbox as well, the mods and stuff like that. And then you go to a foam and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah. The other thing too that I think is interesting is that I think gets underrated with sort of power paddles or paddles that really suit people who want to drive and crash is the spin on paddles. Like the Carbon is not the absolute pinnacle of power or pop right now, but I do feel like for spin, especially on hard shots, it's pretty much the cream of the crop. And if your game is to try to drive hard and crash, I actually feel like that's a little more important than just how fast the ball is coming off the paddle. Because like if it's coming flat at you, it doesn't matter how fast it's coming, really. If it's not dipping, it's going to go out. Exactly. And then if it's above the net, all you have to do is, stick your paddle up, block it back down, and that's a hard ball for your opponents to deal with. Correct. But if it's coming, at your kneecaps when you're at the kitchen line, then that's the one that when you have to lift it back up over the net, that's the one that people are going to pop up and you can put away, with your fourth shot. So I actually feel like it's getting a little underrated as a paddle for people who like to drive and crash, because I think that dip that you can get with it on the hard shots is actually a little bit more valuable than just raw power. If you are in the Orlando area and you are interested in trying out the Carbon, OAP does have demos available. You can check them out at any of our tournaments or leagues. And if you want to buy it, you can use code OAP-TV for a discount.
And we'll put it on the screen. It's also in the description that you can check it out. So do you think that maybe Gen 4 paddles should be the future just to control that? It can give you kind of both of best worlds type of thing?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think the foam cores are really in their infancy. Eventually, the properties of foam are going to make better performing paddles than what you can get with sort of the polymer honeycombs that almost all our paddles use right now. So I think eventually, all paddles are going to start sort of cutting out the middleman, because that's the whole point that companies are putting that foam band in, like the 3S in the 11624, because they want to get the properties of foam, but if they make it all foam, then it's illegal. So carbons, like the Diadem Vice is an example of that, where it's all foam, it's got crazy power, crazy dwell time, but it just doesn't pass any of the tests from any of the certification boards. And
I really like just basically like living in the pickleball world at this time, because they're trying just so many different things. Yeah. And like, it was just back then, like you just can't hit it hard like that because it just didn't grab onto anything. Yeah. And then they were kind of soft and you couldn't really hit it hard. And then it was like more like just drops and dinks, drops and dinks, drops and dinks, and then resets. And then they just jumped to smacking it, putting it through people,
Yeah, I mean, we definitely went too far with the
So now they want to tone it down, but not go back to where it was originally. So I like just seeing that stuff.
I think we'll see a lot more companies experimenting with that, and like I said, you can already tell when you swing hard on that paddle, like the dwell that you can get and the spin you can generate is different than any pure polymer.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's a lot of them that have they have decent texture, but they have some crazy pop to it. Yeah. So there's no dwell time.
Exactly.
So you don't get to use all of that grit that they have, or whatever carbon, Kevlar, all types of stuff that they're making now, that you don't get to use that completely.
Yeah. The less time the ball is sitting on the paddle, the less any of that matters.
It don't matter. It's going. So either you put your paddle up or you move your head, because it's coming for your throat. You know what I mean? I wanted to talk about Ben Johns. Yeah. This past, where they're at. They're at Texas right now. And then they were in Arizona, whatever. So everybody is freaking out because Ben Johns keeps losing in singles. Yep. And they were like, oh, he's losing with Colin in doubles. Yeah. Oh, he's losing in singles. Like, is he washed up? Can he not, with these people that are coming in now, like, he's not number one. They're freaking out on him. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? He's just lost all hope just like this. What do you think about that?
Well, I feel like Ben John's singles downfall was inevitable. He is not an elite athlete in the way that top tennis players, top basketball players are, stuff like that. He's, above average height. He's athletic, but when you're talking about people who tend to be best in the world at something, your LeBron Jameses, your Yannick Sinners, he's just not on that level athletically. And it really shows in singles. Even playing against a player like Christian Alshon or something, you can tell the
Christian
difference.
Is like, I already knew when I saw Christian play, I said, this dude is going to be freaking fire. Yeah. Like, this kid is just crazy. I really like how Ben Johns plays, but I like it because he's more like technical, crazy strategic. Yes. And I love that about him. But there's a lot of players that are coming in with ridiculous amount of athleticism, and their shots. Yeah. They're just killing it with their shots, the angles, the speed of it. And it just goes to show you, because when you're in doubles and you're just ripping it at the person, could it have gone out? Maybe, maybe not. Like, who knows? Because the person was there, But in singles, they're ripping the hell out of these balls and they're landing in. Yep. So I think that is a good point. If nobody, because there's a lot of people that are just seeing him lose. Yeah. And then they're just like, oh, he's done. And they don't get like different aspects. They can't see it from different perspectives.
Yeah. I think the athleticism advantage at some point becomes sort of insurmountable in singles. It just, at a certain point, I agree with everything you said about Ben. He's probably, in terms of like strategy and technique, thinking about the game, analyzing the game, I think he's still probably number one. But at some point, if the other guy can cover, an extra couple feet of court over you, if he can just run down balls that you can't and hit the ball, generate more spin and power, it just becomes too hard to compete without a partner out there to help you cover the court.
Yeah, for sure. Because if you just go after him, you're already lost. You know what I mean? Without anything, because he's so strategic.
Yes,
he's just dope like that.
Yeah,
he has crazy shots too that I haven't seen people do. Like we were saying, like about Christian, right? You have Christian that he just won his first gold, which is dope. Congrats. I think he said it took like 3 years for him to do that.
I mean, it looked like probably close to a year ago that he was about to take number one spot, and then he had some injuries.
Yeah, because he's always
setbacks.
up there. Yeah, and his name is always there. Mm-hmm. But it's that, man, that happens sometimes, and it's super frustrating if you're going into a tournament and you're always like in the top 4.
Right there.
You get bronze. Yeah. You don't get bronze. You go to the medal, but you got silver like 5 times in a row. Like, dang it. You know what I mean?
At a certain point, the psychological aspect too of it almost looms larger than the actual physical aspect of just going out there and executing.
But it has to tell you that you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Because if you are the guy that's always like in the top 5, in the top even 6, going in to these playoffs, you're doing really good. So don't quit. Don't think that you're crap and everybody's like, all right, I'm done. Yeah, I'm doing another sport. Pickleball sucks for me. I suck eggs. I can't do this. I say just keep at it. There's just different things. Like you look at Ben Johns. He's the number 1 player. He was like blowing everybody out of the water. Now, all these athletic dudes, hard hitting dudes. The paddle technology is changing. Helping these guys.
Exactly. Yeah.
But Ben holds something, which is just his pickleball IQ is just crazy. And then you have Anna Lee Waters, right?
Yep.
The mama. And she's coaching Christian.
Yeah.
So she's giving him, with his athleticism and his shots, she's giving him that pickleball IQ.
Yeah.
And look what he's doing with that.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely, like, all those factors come in.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story here is if you can get Lee Waters to coach you, that's
what you want.
The way to go.
For sure.
Yeah.
I've been doing everything wrong. What am I doing? Looking at all these videos and studying and stuff, making notes.
Yeah, being like 40 and 5'8" has no bearing on my inability to go pro.
No, same. They're like, how tall are you? I'm like 5'8" short. I'm not tall. Tall and my height don't go together.
I think, but I think just with the Ben Johns thing too, the other, like, it kind of ties back into what we were talking about with the paddles, where like with the power and the spin going, when in sort of the Gen 1, even Gen 2 era of paddles, defense was sort of the ultimate. Defense was sort of like the ultimate counter to,
for sure,
to sort of anything you could do. If you played perfect defensively, you could dink, drop, and counter your way to victory against no matter how good the offense was. The game just favored.
There's so many points that they're even gold medal matches. All these, the pros that are killing it, and the defense is just silly.
Yeah,
and it's just like they defended like 12 balls, and that 13th ball that they defended, the other team hit it into the net or they hit it out.
Yep.
And that, for me, that's crazy. And it's like, you look at that and it's, not saying always be on the defensive, but for sure up your defense, because it could win you points. It could get you out of that rut that you guys are like, 6-6 and nothing's happening or whatever. And it gets you out of that. Defense is super important. It's very vital. Everybody should go into that not thinking offense all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think offense now with the Gen 3s and the Gen 4s is a lot more viable to be an extremely offensive player.
Yeah.
Defense can definitely be underrated. It's also, it doesn't look great on highlights either sometimes, just like, oh yeah, I hit 4 great drops and slowly made my way up to the kitchen, and then my opponent overreached on one and put it into the net.
Yeah.
Like no one's clipping that on YouTube. But
exactly.
It still gets you the point.
It gets a highlight in your head, but that's it. That's not.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, because we were talking about those paddles and the whole technology. It happened probably a few weeks ago for Stacksrud, because he changed and he went to Adidas.
Yeah.
And then was it the same tournament that he played in the Adidas paddle? He switched back to the Yola?
Yes.
And I mean, I don't know how that works. Like the whole contracts that they have.
Yeah.
Does that, like, what is that? Does he get in trouble for that?
I would assume so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the exact legal situation, but yeah, if he were signed with Adidas, he would be expected to use their paddle, I would think.
Because he's still using the Yola.
Yeah, maybe he voided it or something. Adidas paddles have been sort of famously or infamously lackluster, especially at their price point.
That's a nice word.
Yeah, and I'm probably being generous.
We don't have enough beeps on that thing to do that, because there's a lot of people have complained about that completely.
Yes,
I was always wondering that. I wondered that from the first time I saw Kwong do that, because he went to the Proton.
Yes, and
he's been with Selkirk.
Yeah,
and he went to the Proton and he did it either 2 or 3 times in the same tournament.
Yes. I believe he also did it overseas, was sort of when that started. Like he did a exhibition tournament in, I want to say, Japan, and he was sort of seen photographed using using Protons and not the Selkirks. Yeah.
Japan. Every time I hear that, I hear Street Fighter. I saw, I don't know if it's completely true, but I saw that when he did do that, Selkirk sent him some type of letter like, don't do that.
Yeah, I think.
Did you see that, if that happened?
Yeah, so there was, I think it was a rumor that he was sent a cease and desist letter, which is sort of like a formal legal letter. But then I heard Selkirk say they didn't actually send the formal legal letter. They just told him to knock it off. Basically,
that's what I'm saying.
We pay you, stop.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, they just gave him a slap on the wrist, and that was it. But that's what I'm saying is are they doing the same thing?
And that
is Stacksrud, or is it something different? Does he have something in his contract saying, I'm signing with you guys. If your paddle sucks, you have to allow me to go back to another paddle, but I'll still rep you somehow? Because he still reps their gear.
Yeah,
like he's got the hats and the shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been one of those things where he talked to them and they sort of agreed that their paddle is not pro ready and he could use the Yola until then and just wear the gear, maybe.
Yeah. That's true, because
I don't quite know how the sausage is made there, but
that's I really thought, man, I guess it's because. Just in different, I've always liked Adidas, and in different sports, they were like, a big deal.
Yeah.
Adidas, Nikes, and stuff like that. So you get something huge like Adidas, which was awesome. But what is it what could it be that they're lacking? I mean, they're such a humongous company. How can they? For me, since they're that big, Adidas, Nike, stuff like that, like they should be kind of on top of this, no?
Yes, I have multiple friends who have their own branded paddles that are better than Adidas paddles.
No, I mean, I'm serious. I think it was in 2023. I think I read that there was like 500 paddle companies. And then in 2024, by the end of 2024, there was
500,000.
There was like over 900 that were whatever. And then they just expect like by the end of this year to have like at least 1,500.
That sounds right.
Crazy. Yeah. And then, you know, you have to compete with all these people and everything. But to me, you have, you know, little local ones or ones, you know, just companies that they're doing it on their own. They're trying to start up or whatever.
Yes.
And they don't have Adidas money. You know what I mean? Like for me, they should be
Adidas factories. Yes.
Like for me, they should be like top tier, you know, products.
Yeah.
So that's kind of upsetting. I mean, I just don't know what they're missing. I have no idea what it is that they're lacking on.
The paddles themselves seem to be missing everything.
Yeah.
I
Not
wonder
one
if it's
thing, two things, but everything.
So a lot of those, what did you say the number was? 1,500 paddle companies?
Supposedly, there's going to be 1,500 by the end of this year.
So a lot of what those companies are doing is, and I've gotten these messages, is the factory in China that makes the paddles they make the paddles with like the Yolas, the Selkirks, the Carbons, the top companies, and they pay for the setup and stuff. And then the factory in China turns around and goes, we'll just reproduce these, change the label, and they'll message anybody involved in sort of the pickleball space on the internet and be like, hey, we'll sell you 100 paddles, whatever brand you want, or we'll make the face look like whatever you want, and you can pick from this catalog. It'll play just like the Yola 3S or whatever. Yeah. So that's how a lot of those paddle companies get started. Maybe, you know, Adidas is kind of too big to do that. They're like, where they want to do their own, like make their own Adidas paddle from scratch, and like, you know, they probably have the R&D departments and everything, and you just can't buy the knockoff catalog from the Chinese manufacturer.
You can't get a paddle from Temu.
yeah,
which I know some people have.
I've seen them,
and they're very close to big brand names. You know, there's I've seen them. I've seen Yola knockoffs. Yeah, I mean, that's the most that I've seen the knockoffs on there. You know, they get it for like $2.13 off of Temu. Just I don't know how much it is, but you know what I mean. And they play with it, and they're like, you know what? It didn't break in my hand. Yeah, it didn't just dissipate off the first serve or something. Like, I'm gonna play with this thing. I'm like, what, really?
I know somebody was like, I bought 3 at like $30, and 2 of them are crap, but this third one's not bad.
I'm like,
at that point, just maybe buy like a mid-tier paddle.
Either mid or I mean, I got 4 for $25. Well, I mean, the first one breaks the first week. The second one, you use one each week. I don't know. I mean, it's worth to give it a try, I guess. But the other thing I wanted to say was from the paddles is to the balls. Yeah. Do you have any input on these balls of, like, do you think everybody should play with the same ball that the pros are playing with? Because I get that question a lot.
I would love it if pickleball settled on one ball that we all played with all the time. My absolute pet peeve in pickleball is switching between balls constantly and nonstop. I've completely dropped games because I get so in my head about like, oh, this ball is bouncing 10% higher, or you know, it's kicking with topspin, it's kicking out more laterally and this one kicks up vertically, and I'm just
because
I just get so in my head about it that I like my level just drops. like I forget how to hit a drop shot because I'm thinking about how this one's gonna spin different.
Thinking about it way too much, and you're just like, why did I hit it like that? What's going on? But I've played in different places that have just from one court to the next, it's not consistent. Yes. You know, like cave places. And when playing there, you have somebody playing with a Selkirk, and then you play the next game and it's with, you know, a Franklin. And then you play with the next game and it's a freaking Vulcan. And then the next game it's like, what the hell? It's like Duras and all types of stuff going everywhere. It's like, get one and that's it.
I know.
So that's super frustrating for a lot of people, I think. And they ask me that question a lot. Like, isn't it supposed to be like you're supposed to play with the pros, what the pros play like? I'm like,
yeah,
technically, no.
Yeah.
But should it? Probably.
It depends too on like what you're doing, what your goals are. If you're starting to play, PPA pro qualifiers and stuff, like, yeah, you should be playing with the Vulcan all the time. Like if your goal is to make it further and further into PPA tournaments, like, yeah, you should use the Vulcan.
I think so. I mean, especially if they're going to make it the official ball. And if they change the official ball next year, then so what? Like, change it.
The other very disappointing thing I think about that is that it's not like the PPA, rigorously tested multiple balls and we're like, yeah, this one is the best for the pickleball community. This one is the best for the game. Yeah. They were just like, who wants to pay us the most money to be the official pickleball? That's what it is.
Because there's a lot of sports that have, you got racquetball, tennis, whatever. And it took them a while to just do, like an official one for sure, like forever. Yeah. So I think they're still doing that. I really like the introduction. Have you done or seen the 3D printout, the 3D prints pickleballs?
I have not. Can you tell me about it?
It's super strange because you can't hear anything.
Oh, okay.
It's like you're listening to it. It's like you put the TV on mute every time it hits the paddle.
Okay,
there's like nothing there.
That's like the owl paddles.
So instead of doing the paddles, instead of trying to get the paddles more different and trying to like break their brains how to do that, they're just saying, why don't we just do the ball? Yeah. That way it doesn't matter who plays with what, because then you'll have like this super loud freaking paddle hitting with the ball, and then it goes to this, owl that's like nothing. And then another one that's kind of like 50%. So it's going to sound so different on everybody's paddle. So why not just do the ball? And that
does make a lot of sense.
I want to see that like take off. Yeah. Kind of like low key. I want the ball to be, as long as it's durable, it doesn't crack. Yeah. What else? It doesn't like go oblong, all types of weird stuff because you have balls doing stuff like that.
Yeah. I feel like for competitive integrity, the most important thing is a consistent bounce. Like, you have to know how the ball is going to bounce based on how it's hit.
Yeah. Because there's balls out there that they bounce and they go left to right or something, and you're like, what the hell was that? Yeah. And you're like, oh, this stupid court. And it's like, no, it's the ball. Yeah. Because it's shaped like this. You know? And then the next 3 points, it's shaped perfectly. Yes. And then the next is like, oh, I can't do this ball. Like, what the world? It's a huge problem.
Yeah. One of the things I do actually like about the Franklin is that, instead of going out of shape, it does crack. And that's sort of an easy social cue to everybody that like, oh, this ball isn't good anymore. Right. Whereas like the Selkirk or something never cracks. That's awesome. Great. It never cracks, but as it gets out of shape, as it gets wobbly, one person is like, I don't think this is really a circle anymore. That was a weird bounce, and somebody else
it doesn't
like,
bounce the same.
I think it's fine. Like, let's just keep playing with it. And somebody else is like, and then somebody's tossing it up and doing trying to see how wobbly it is. There's no standard on like
paddle.
Yeah, how wobbly it should be before we ditch it and come back to it in like an hour. See if it's...
Have you actually heard of the new Franklin? Have you heard what they're doing with that? They're going to do
no.
I heard that they're doing a soft one and a harder one. Okay. Because of for climate. So the soft one is going to be for colder. Yeah. And then the hard one's going to be so the hard one's going to be, it's going to play somewhat like the Dura. And then the softer one is going to be a little bit more mushier. Yeah. If you can imagine that.
Yeah. That's that. Yeah, that's tough, especially for us in Florida. Like trying to put away a Franklin against a 5-0 plus player in Florida is
you're hitting with pillows. You're hitting with pillows, and it's like no, it's
the
not,
rally.
it's not
the rally might never end.
You will blow your shoulder completely out.
Absolutely.
I've done that. Man, I've had that so many times, and I'm hitting the hell out of this ball, and I'm like, it's not going anywhere.
No,
it's actually still in flight as I'm talking. Like that's how slow it's going.
It's the bounce that really kills. When the Franklin gets soft, it doesn't matter how hard you smack it. It doesn't matter how fast it's going through the air. If you catch that thing off the bounce in 100-degree weather, it just floats.
It just floats up.
It just floats.
Yeah. And then and it hits the ground. Yeah. And then it rolls a few times on the ground, and then it just pops up. And that's because there's like a rock in front of it or something. It's like, okay, now I bounced up. It's like, what the heck? Super soft. Like, this is crazy. Enough about bowls. What about the whole, everybody's talking about the Peterson crap that happened in prison. He got beat up. He got nice. I mean, he didn't get put in the hospital or anything, but it was because of pickleball. Yeah. So he's playing pickleball in prison, and he went after a dude, and he was either trying to body bag him, but he was targeting him.
Okay.
And the guy got pissed.
Yeah.
And he kicked his ass. So
I've seen that happen not in prison.
Yeah. And I always think it's gonna go that far. A lot of times where I'm in the course and I'm just like, uh-oh. Yeah. Like they're getting pretty heated. But my whole thing of bringing that up is not for the Peterson or anything like that. It's for pickleballs in prison, focusing it on for the rehab part, for the mental health, something for them to just, get out there and do something. Which I think it's a pretty good idea. And there is, I believe his name is Robin Eyre, and he's kind of that's the person that's like putting it out there into prisons.
Spearheading it. Yeah.
Right. And do you think that would be a good idea? Like, what are your thoughts about pickleball in prisons?
I have sort of mixed opinions on this. Okay. And they're shaped by a couple of things. One, we had at one of our tournaments, actually, we did in Jacksonville, and we had a guy playing it who had recently gotten out of prison, and he was trying to help bring pickleball to prisons and get more inmates playing. Okay. And basically what he told us like he was a mess. He was a junkie. He started playing pickleball. It completely turned his life around. Like, he's made so many contacts. He, met someone who helped him get a job through pickleball. Nice. He essentially ditched his drug habit for a pickleball habit now.
That's
instead
crazy.
Of
Awesome.
Yeah. Now instead of being addicted to cocaine, he's addicted to pickleball.
Listen, people think I'm messing with them, and I'm full of crap when I tell them you're probably gonna get addicted now. Like, it's gonna take over your life.
Just one more game, man.
Yeah, it's gonna bring you some problems. And then they're like, ha ha, tee hee. I'm like, all right, I'll see you next week. And probably like 17 days in a row, because you're just going to be like, I need it.
Get your spouse into it now before your skill level's too far apart to play together.
Absolutely. That's a whole issue that we could actually go into completely, because couples playing.
Yeah. I coached one lady who told me that her husband feels like that she left him for pickleball.
No, that's terrible.
He said he calls himself a pickleball widow.
Oh gosh. Listen, if it brings her happiness, how can you fight with that? But I think pickleball in prisons, I think it's a good idea. It's just you can't really stop anything like that happening.
Yeah, that's my concern.
You're targeting the guy.
Is that there are aspects of pickleball that make it a little testier than like tennis or something, right?
Yeah, where, completely.
Like there are a lot of times where, as you start playing at a higher and higher level, body bagging is a good strategy. Whereas in tennis or something, it's almost never necessary. It's almost never a strategic advantage. It's pretty clearly just like an asshole move to try to hit someone with the ball.
Yeah.
But in pickleball, there are times when that's the best shot to do.
That is the shot. It is kind of an asshole shot, but it is a strategy.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I'm going to hit a shot, right? Like say I hit a drop shot and I'm awesome at drop shots, which I am. But if I hit a drop shot and you can't get it, am I going to be like, okay, like Kyler just doesn't like my drop shots. Maybe I shouldn't do it anymore. So I'm going to change my strategy to have him more comfortable. No. If you're going for body bags and you're going after that person and the person can't handle it, it's a strategy. Go for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they get mad because they're like, oh, that's all that you can do. It's what you can't get.
Yeah.
I can't change my game so that you could, I don't know, be better and beat me. Is that the whole point of saying that? I don't really get that. But I see a lot of
I just worry
getting
that
mad
with prisons specifically, you don't want to introduce activities that encourage fighting and lead to more fights than otherwise.
And if you're getting, like these older guys, they're like, you're going after me, you blockhead type of thing. Imagine the guys in prison, you know what I mean? They're not going to be calling people blockheads. They're going to be getting mad and probably losing their temper. Hopefully, for me, that's my biggest thing. Other than that, I mean, pickleball is super fun.
Yeah,
it can be social. You know what I mean? And it can be an addiction. It can be like something that they look forward to.
Totally. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know.
You also see the other thing too is you see at the pro scene, there's a lot of, I think because of the nature of pickleball where you're so close to one another, if you get a little bit more advanced and players are getting up to the kitchen line reliably, you're only 14 feet apart from one another. And that sort of lends itself to trash talk, to sort of getting in the other person's face a little bit, especially if, you're really competitive.
Yeah.
If you get a little heated on the court, it's, throwing, like slapping your paddle on the net or something is a little different when someone's 7 feet away from you as opposed to, the baseline to baseline on a tennis court.
Yeah.
It definitely just comes off different when you're that mad closer. And you're that close. Yeah. I think it's a good idea, but like you, I kind of have mixed with that. Yeah.
Just only because of that. Because you don't want to introduce, you don't ever want to introduce anywhere anything negative.
Yes.
Positive vibes, type of thing. But I think overall it could be really good just because it would be beneficial into the rehab part.
I think I agree. There might be one of those things where they just have to be, inmate by inmate sort of basis.
Yeah.
Like I know, like if my wife were in prison, she would not be able to play pickleball. And just every day she'd be getting in a fight with.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are competitive.
Yeah,
that's a wrap. Thank you guys for watching the episode 1. Episode 2 is coming pretty soon. We're going to try to do this weekly. Try our best anyways.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end, guys. I appreciate it. If you are interested in trying out the Carbon, the Carbon True Foam, we do have it available for demo for free if you come to our Tuesday or Thursday leagues. And if you're interested in buying one, you can use code OAP-TV for a discount. Thanks so much for watching.
Peace.